Okay, welcome to Bitrix Live. I'm Damien Edwards, Commercial Manager of Bitrix Partners Interface. We're based in the UK. We have offices in New York and Dubai. And with me, I've got our Support Manager, Andy Naylor.
Hi guys. So if you've got any questions throughout this session, it's going to be an hour long and we can answer any question that you like. So anything to do with Bitrix, whether it's on the cloud or the self-hosted, we can answer for you and show you on the screen. So if you want to pop your questions in the box on YouTube, if you want to tweet us at Interface, or if you want to send an email to live@interface.com, then we can get those answered for you. And if you ever have any questions in the week, just send it to one of those methods, preferably the live@interface.com, and we can answer them when we return at 10 AM Eastern on the next session. So I think if we start off, we've got some questions that have come through already. So the first one is with regards to the telephony on Bitrix, and it's just really will a number known to my CRM pop up with the details when I receive a call. So yeah, that's standard in Bitrix. You can if you make a call into your CRM, and then if it recognizes that number, the contact in the system will pop up and the details will show on the screen. So I think Damien's going to try and
see if we can demo that on the screen. So okay, so in this case the number's not recognized, it doesn't exist in the system, so it just gives a telephone number and it gives you a default contact. So yes, but the question is, does the contact? I mean, we can try that again, can't we? Actually, let's go into the CRM and add that number into a contact. Just do this properly. So if we edit this telephone number, so this is my telephone number. If we call back now, then okay, so in this case we can see the person calling. This is the contact that we added it to. We can also see on this screen a bit of information about deals that are open for this. So you've got, before I even answer the call, I've got quite a lot of information about this person. Let's pick the call up. Once we've answered the call, we can put them on hold. We can forward it on to another person within the business. So, if we go back into the contact now, then if we have it enabled, then probably not got it enabled. So okay, incoming call. So we've not got call recording enabled, so the calls will not be recorded. If that was enabled in this system, then we would see something a bit like this. So
yes.
We'd be able to play back the conversation as well. So depending on where you're based, depending on the local regulations around recording calls, then you can enable that feature or disable it. But having calls recorded in the system gives you a full picture of all email interaction, all the notes that people have made, as well as all the telephone conversations that you have in the system. So we're actually going to do a demo webinar on telephony in the next couple of weeks. So there's a little bit of confusion about how you can work with telephones inside Bitrix. Bitrix has its own built-in VoIP telephone system, which allows you to answer calls with a headset or indeed with a plug-in VoIP handset. But it is possible also then to integrate with your current system, whether that's a physical phone system you have based in your office or you use a virtual phone system. The work involved in doing that integration is dependent on the system you're using. Can cost a couple of $100, can cost $20,000. So it does depend on what you're doing. So you really need to, particularly if you're looking at choosing a phone system to work with Bitrix, have a conversation with us or another partner about the phone system. Some have pre-built integration which works very easily, and some of the integration needs to develop for it. But there's always options. If you don't want to use a phone system, you can use the Bitrix built-in phone system. You can use Bitrix built-in. See if we can connect to the app. You can use the Bitrix built-in. We'll probably do that in a minute. You can use the Bitrix built-in soft phone on the app. So what big advantage of doing that? If you want to forward a call on to a person who's out of the office, somebody who's on the road in the field, then traditionally you have to forward that number from an office number to a mobile number and pay for that call between those 2 points. If you're using the Bitrix app, then you can forward the call to another user within Bitrix. They can pick the call up whether they're on a desktop, laptop, or if they're using the mobile app, and as such you'll transfer the call internally even if they're answering it from the mobile, and they don't pay for that service. So let's see if we can connect onto this and open up the Bitrix app. And so if we go into a demo account here, then we can go into our soft phone. So I can make a phone call from the Bitrix app. I can to a landline, and pay per minute for that. But I can receive, as you say, you can receive incoming calls on the app. So let's see if we can minimize that, keep it open in case we want it back. Put that down there. Okay, any more questions?
So I had a question just about how will Bitrix look to my extranet users. So just with regards to extranet users and how Bitrix works is that Bitrix has an intranet. So that is usually for your internal staff. So for your general day-to-day users, your employees who are accessing areas such as the CRM and tasks and the calendars and things like that. And then Bitrix has the extranet. So we're on a self-hosted version here. So if we just click onto the extranet, you can see that we can actually brand the extranet up that looks to look different to your intranet. And basically the extranet acts as a place where you can invite your clients into. So they would only ever see what you've put on, say if you put some banners on the right hand side here, this is the self-hosted, but they would only ever see the contents of the extranet work group. So they can use things such as tasks, documents, the calendar within the work group. And yeah, it's a good place to invite your clients into.
Yeah, I think as Andy says, we're on a self-hosted version here. That's where you can see this admin bar across the top. So it's only visible on the self-hosted, and it's actually only visible to administrators. So your general users don't see this at all. But as Andy says, we've got some custom banners on here. So that's not possible on the cloud version to customize banners and things like that. On the self-hosted you can. I can go into edit mode up here as an administrator, and I can go into modify these individual banners. So I can choose the image, and then I can choose where it links to down here. So it can link out to an external page if you want to do that. So there's a lot more you can do. I think particularly on this extranet side, if you're inviting clients and suppliers and third parties in, then being able to customize it and add your own branding, which you can do on the self-hosted, is big benefit. So that would be one of the main features where you might consider a self-hosted option. Just on that self-hosted, you don't need to host it yourself. We can host it for you. You can host it on a web server, just like hosting a website. You host it on a web server, host it, we host it for you. It's fairly straightforward to do, or we can do it for you. So it's not as if you need to host it physically in-house. It's a web application, so it needs to be on a web server. So that is usually web servers are based remotely. You rent some space off a web hosting company, same as you do with your front-end website. But you can customize and say these banners. You're also going to show a lot less content to your extranet users. They're not going to see a long list of links like you do on your side of the application. In fact, probably going to see less links than this. They're probably going to see their work group, their tasks, and maybe one or two other pages. If you're sharing documents with them, you can show a link to the drive. But certainly on the self-hosted, you can customize these links. And again, you could have these links go out to an external source system page, web page. So really do what you want. I mean, this has a custom back theme in the background. You can in addition to that, you can have your own kind of custom login page as well. So I think, in fact, if you don't want to have a login page at all, you can have a little username and password fields on your public web page, maybe in the footer or the header or somewhere. Just little links to say, access our portal here, and so that'll take you straight into the Bitrix portal.
Yeah, we had a follow-on question from a different client of ours that was just asking whether the extranet users can use the free mobile app, and they can. So they would just log in as general as you would, just as exactly the same. They would log in via the mobile app, and they would automatically get redirected to their extranet portion of the mobile app. So again, they get all the features that you see on your desktop. So you'll be able to access the work group, and you can access the tasks within the work group, and the documents and areas like that. So it is a real added value for inviting your customers in, especially if they can use the mobile app. And you can chat on there. You can use the instant messenger and chat between yourself and the client. And just a note with user licenses on both the cloud and on the self-hosted is you can have unlimited extranet users. So there's no limit, and there's no additional charge for any extranet users on the system as well.
Okay, and then a follow-up question on that. Again, can I get Bitrix on my own URL? So you can, certainly if you have the on-premise self-hosted version, then you're hosting it, so you point your own URL to that. And you can actually have a different URL for the extranet to your internal, but you don't need to. You can have, if your domain is mywebsite.com, you can have portal.mywebsite.com. That can be where your internal team access the system, and also the address you promote to your external people. They can both go to the same address. Extranet people will get redirected to a subfolder. So in this case, if I access demo.interface.com, I get redirected to demo.interface.com/extranet. So they're separate instances. They're Bitrix comes with two instances. The separate instances essentially, they look the same, but they operate independently. You've got the confidence that if you give access to the extranet to a user, they won't be able to access your other data. It's kept very separate. So if you're using the cloud and you just want your own URL inside there, then you can do that. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think you have to request it. I don't think there's any settings in here actually. But if you're on a professional account, then you can certainly add your own URL. If you're on a basic account, it's a random string.bitrix24.com. But if you're on the professional, you can either choose a name like your company.bitrix24.com, or you can actually point your own top-level domain to your instance to replace that.
Yeah, I think when you're doing that on the professional, I think all you need to do, we've set quite a few of those up. All you need to do is just basically point the CNAME to the one that Bitrix provides on the screen when you're ready to point it over to use your URL on the cloud. So yeah, you can do that.
can I remove Bitrix branding and white label? So we're talking a bit about having an extranet area with some customization on your own login page, and you can certainly change the logo up here, change the background. You can remove the references to Bitrix on the login page. Let's just log out. So on this instance, we've got a very plain login page, but of course it's all your own branding. You can do what you want with that. The question is white labeling it. So it's, essentially you can brand it yourself, but you can't sell it as a white labeled your own product. So that wouldn't be within the terms of the license. Can't create your own instance and resell it. So, but you can remove, I think, essentially everything related to Bitrix. I mean, there are some links down here that go to Bitrix, Bitrix Inc. and a couple of links in there. You can actually remove those. There are some links if you're on the self-hosted. So that we're talking about on the self-hosted. On the cloud, you can't change this sort of branding. It's a Bitrix branded product. But on the self-hosted, you can remove those footer links if you want to. There are some references in the control panel to Bitrix Incorporated, and you need to leave those in. It's not possible to actually remove all the sort of references such, but from the front end you can really fully brand it and hide any Bitrix branding on that side.
So just moving on, we had a question just with regards to restricting users in work groups to be able to do create tasks and view tasks. So this might be relevant to the person that asked about inviting clients into the extranet into a particular work group. And the good thing is, within a work group, if we just go in, what we usually recommend, let's go into one that's got a few tasks in already. What we would usually recommend here is, you can see on the right hand side we have the owner of a particular work group, we have the moderators, and we have the members. So how we would usually recommend you setting up your work groups is, if you are inviting clients in, so if you're inviting extranet users into the system, keep those as members of your work group and move your employees into the moderators section. So what this will allow you to do is, when we go to the top right into actions and then click on access permissions, you can see here that we can set different access permissions for each section here. But you can see that you have the three levels there, so only group owner and moderators, and then all group members. So the question was about creating tasks. So you have here the permission to create tasks. So in this case, if you, the group owner, are a normal employee of the company and your moderators are too, then you can specify that. And then your extranet users who are going to be members will not be able to create tasks. So it does have a very good permission structure in your work groups now, and then things like the drive and the calendars are set actually within the actual module itself. So if we went into the drive, you can click into the cog, click access permissions, and again you have the three levels. So you have group owner, group moderators, and all group members. So if we were to click all group members were read only, the group owner and moderators had full access, so they could upload and delete the documents. This would mean there that your clients wouldn't be able to do anything other than view the actual documents within the drive. So it's quite handy to know, and like I said, that's how we would usually train our clients into setting up your work groups if you are inviting clients in, just so you have the flexibility to set your own permissions for your employees against the extranet users that you invite in.
Okay, we use MailChimp. I saw somewhere we can integrate this. Is this correct? So you can integrate MailChimp into Bitrix. Let's have a look under applications. So not any questions on GDPR yet, strangely, but maybe we'll come back to that anyway if we don't have questions. But there are two apps now for to allow you to manage data within the system. So should you need to remove data for a particular user, then you can use these apps to do that. If we go into MailChimp down here, so we have a MailChimp app, a third-party app by these people. So it does allow you to sync your contact data with your MailChimp lists, and not sure how much information you can get back from the system. So you can get quite a lot of analytics in MailChimp, but I'm not sure you can retrieve all that information back into Bitrix. But this will allow you to do it. This would allow you to do it on any package. You're on the cloud or on the self-hosted. If you're on the self-hosted and this app doesn't do everything you need it to do, then you can do a custom integration through the API.
And if you are using MailChimp and you don't mind switching your email marketing provider, then Bitrix now has the email marketing tool. So we've got the CRM marketing tool here. It's currently in beta, so they are currently tweaking it to any requests that get made to make it a better user experience. But it is really good at the moment. You can see here that we can create a set number of campaigns. So we have the email campaigns, SMS, and messengers and voice as well. But just with regards to MailChimp, the MailChimp question, we have the email campaigns here. And the best thing about this is that it's inside Bitrix and it integrates with the CRM. So you can create mailing lists based on the criteria that you set within, for example, contacts or leads. So you can create maybe a mailing list for all contacts that are in a particular state. So if we want to create a mailing list that everybody that's in California, we could then create a segment, we call them in Bitrix, and it basically allows you to filter your contacts based on a state. So then you could create a campaign for that particular state. And like I say, you don't have to leave Bitrix for that. You just click on email campaign, you choose the template that you wish. So it does come with quite a few pre-built templates. So if we were to click one on here, and everything's customizable, and it's a drag and drop, again, pretty much like the MailChimp email builder is. So if we wanted to bring our own code in, we could just drag and drop, and same with text and other elements in here too. So it's a really user-friendly tool to use. And once you've built your own email, then you can specify the list that you've created. So you can select your segment, click on My Segments, and this is where you, like I mentioned, if you wanted to email to California, for example, that you would find your segment in there that you've already created.
So this makes a lot of sense if you're using MailChimp. If you watched the Bitrix presentation last week, Dimitri mentioned about their spam figure, the spam level. I think there's a figure that you can a score. That's the word I was looking for. So Dimitri mentioned their spam score. It's been carefully monitored during the beta phases and the rollout phases, and it's actually achieving the same spam score as MailChimp now. So makes a lot of sense if you're in Bitrix to use this tool for your email marketing campaigns, cost-wise, built into your subscription. I think there's some limits. There will be some limits on the very basic products, but certainly if you've got one of the professional self-hosted products, then there's very few limits on the number of emails you can send out. So the package we're on at the moment, this demo version is probably a very basic package. So check on the Bitrix features page, and they'll explain just how many.
Yeah, and if you did want to increase the limit, it's just a simple case of upgrading. So if you can upgrade, I think it'll give you the.
But yeah, I mean, the point is that it's included in your subscription, and you've no worries about the hit rates you're going to achieve. We're achieving the same as MailChimp, and so Bitrix use separate email servers to their the email servers that are used for sending out notifications. So it is it's a separate, it's managed separately. It's monitored very, very closely so that the spam score is kept at a competitive level to MailChimp. So yeah, it makes absolute sense to use this, I think, instead of MailChimp now. We've got all the tools built in, so as Andy showed you, building your emails, all the analytics is built in. In fact, you'll get more analytics by using Bitrix than you will inside your CRM in Bitrix than you will by using MailChimp, because MailChimp restricts some of the data they allow you to view externally through their API. So, yeah.
So this is just a brief overview. I mean, we in our demonstration site, we don't send emails out of here, but you can see again it's very similar interface to the MailChimp interface. You can see the number of views, the clicks, the percentage of how many people have opened it compared to who you've sent it to, and then obviously the click map of where people have clicked on your system as well. So on your email, sorry. So yes, it's definitely a great alternative to MailChimp.
So it's available in cloud accounts now on beta, and it'll be available in self-hosted in about 4 weeks, I believe. Okay, we've got a question here. We have a set number of tasks to do for each project. Is there a way I can quickly create these? There is indeed. If we go into tasks, then we can create tasks from a task template. So you can create your different templates for tasks that you need to do on a regular basis. This task has a bit of a description. It's also got a checklist built into the task template. It's got some deadline dates and things like that, and it's automatically going to be assigned to this particular person. So very easy to create your task template. So I go into all templates, then I can add a new task as a template using this. So yeah, makes absolute sense to create all your recurring tasks as templates. There is another way of doing this though. Let's go into the CRM and let's go into settings. And automation, let's go into here. So if you want to create a series of tasks for a particular company that you're dealing with, we can do this as a business process. So let's call it tasks, and just go back into there. So we've created the process called tasks. This process is going to run when because we're running this on a company record, it's going to run when a new company is created. We don't want that. We've got the option to also run this process when a company is changed, so that means when any field in the company is changed. We don't want that in this case either. But what we want to do, really in its simplest form, is just generate a series of tasks like this. So a very simple business process. When we run it, it will create this task, it'll create this task, and it will end. So let's just go back into the company. I'm not adding any content into that, but let's go into a company and show you where you trigger this. So we're now in this company record. Up in the right hand corner, we can see our business processes. So when I created this business process, it will be available to run here. So we might call this project type A, and let's just have a look. Let's just do a bit more on this. In fact, let's go into new web project. Okay. Let's go into a contact, see what processes we've got in there. No. Okay. So do we have one in the deal? No. Okay.
I think we're on the cloud.
Okay, let's go to this let's go into this account, try it again in a different account. So if we go into our company and choose a company, access our business process, we've got one here called create new project, so let's just have a look at that and open up the settings and automation, business processes, templates under company, create project. Okay, so instead of making a new one, we can see that this business process firstly requests approval from supervisor, creates the work group, has a little process here that checks whether the work group can be created correctly without any errors, and then it creates a couple of tasks. So we can drag in additional tasks down here. See if there's any template parameters in here. So there are a few template parameters. So within this process, before we can run it, it's going to ask us to give a description, a deadline, a manager, and then also upload a document to this. So you can create additional parameters. I'll show you what these do in a minute. This will allow you to add content to your project. So if we go back into one of our companies, if we click into create new project, it presents us with a form. So these are the fields we talked about here, the parameters, parameter fields, description, and let's create a project. Deadline, end of next month. Select myself as the manager. If we want to upload a document, we can do this. And so you can create any number of parameters. These can be used to populate parts of the project. In addition to that, you can use any of the fields you have in the company record. So say we want to add things like telephone number into tasks or part of the work group, then you can do that. The telephone number needs to be form part of the description or one of the fields that describe the work group. You can use those fields. But these will be the variable fields that are needed in order to start this project. This one's mandatory. In this case, we've not made any of these other fields mandatory, but you certainly can do so. If we trigger that, it tells me that the project, the workflow has been started. And there was an approval process, I think, involved in this. So firstly, it needs to get approved before it will do anything. So see where that goes to. Okay, so it goes to myself as this demo user. So actually, if we come out of there and if we close this down and we go into our workflows, then approval required. So that you can see this is the one. Please approve and add estimated time for this project. So this is the one that we've just run. You can see that these are the two people that are allowed to approve this project for this demo purpose. I've created it, but I'm also allowed to approve it. So I've got the option to add my number of days, 1,000 days to complete this project. I can decline it, I can delegate it to another user, or I can approve. I'm going to get a notification now, and if we go into our work groups, then we should see a new work group. Okay, no, we don't see a new work group. Okay, well, we'll check that process. Maybe it's been altered, but should create a work group. Should create a work group here. We're using some custom code to create this work group in this instance. There is a standard action block that creates a work group within Bitrix. There isn't an action block that allows you to create a work group which is open to extranet users.
I think there is now.
Oh, okay, yeah. There is now. Okay, then there is now, so you don't need all that code. Okay, but I think actually the part of the reason why you might want to actually do this, create work group using a custom code block, is that if we go into a work group, then you can see that there's a number of features across the top. Might be that actually you don't want to enable all these features. If you're using custom code, you can really go into a lot of detail about how the work groups appear. So maybe a reason why you don't use a standard action block.
Yeah, that's it. I think you can customize permissions, you can customize what modules show, and you can add the icons and things like that you just simply can't do on the normal action block. But while Damien was just discussing that, we did have a question in the week that came through just with regards to how you can structure a particular project work group. So say for example, if we let's go into our, if we're going to trigger it from the CRM, let's just show you how this is done, because it's quite a useful tool. So if we go into automation and business processes, and then we'll add on a new company, and we'll just call this structured project creation. So you can see here that when added, so we'll manually run this, and what we'll do first of all is we'll add our work group. So if you click on create work group, and you can see here target site. This is where we can select our extranet site if we wanted to, but we'll just call this, just in this demo, structured project, and we'll call that the title of the block as well. So I'll select myself as the owner, and let's add some other people in to here. So let's leave it at that for the moment. So now that we've created our work group, what we want to do is we'll create a couple of tasks. So the first question was, how do we assign the tasks to the work group that we've created in the actual process itself? So if we click on the task, and you can see here, social network group, click on the three dots, then click on additional results, then you can see here that we have access to the group ID that's been created in the actual workflow. So that's how we would assign the first task to the, so let's say. So it's because, I mean, the confusion becomes because it's not available in, I'll just show you, so if we click on, give it a description. Because usually what people ask is social network group, the group doesn't show that you've just created in this here. So you click on personal task and then we can put the ID in. So that's first of all how we can assign and build the tasks associated to this work group here. And then the second question was, how can we build and structure our document management side of the particular project? So maybe you want a couple of folders and a couple of subfolders within inside one of those. So if we go to the drive and we click on create folder on the drive, so we'll say this is HR docs, and we're going to create it in a social network drive. So again, we can select with these three dots in additional results. So we can associate HR docs in this particular project, and again we put it who's created it by, so put myself. Then the question was, how can we put a subfolder within this particular document folder? So if we click on create folder again, and what we're going to do this time is we'll maybe call this contracts, and we're going to select a drive folder here. And instead of selecting a folder, because primarily it doesn't exist because everything's within this folder here, is if we click on here, click on additional results, then you can see here HR docs is going to be our parent folder here. So, and this is the same process for creating subfolders as assigning documents into particular drive folders that exist. So if we wanted to add a file into the contracts, then we would again just select driver folder, click on here, and then we could find in additional results the contracts drive folder ID, and we can upload a file automatically, so we could add a file here, or we could find one. In this case, it's going to be in a company. We could click on element fields and find the contract field in here. So it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple on how to structure your document drive and how to assign tasks to a project. So you can see how this creates a very structured approach to creating the work group and assigning the tasks in the documents.
Okay, good question, how to send notifications to a responsible user if a company gets deleted. So, where we would do this, let's go into a company. I think, actually probably wouldn't do, probably what I would do firstly is prevent people from being able to delete companies in the permission structure, but create a process that deletes the company maybe after approval or something. So you can firstly, if we go into settings, permissions, if we go to our permissions and we go into our US sales department here has the sales role sales. So if we go into the sales role called sales, we can prevent them from deleting. And the concern is that once you've deleted a record, being able to trigger a process from that, I'm not sure you can do that. You could probably do it, certainly do it if you're on the self-hosted, on the cloud. I'm not sure you could trigger a process. So a process can be triggered when an item's created new, or when something's added to an item, but I don't think when the whole record's deleted you can trigger a process. So unless you're on the self-hosted, I would firstly prevent people from being able to delete them themselves, and I would create a business process. So let's go into that allow people to request deletion of a company. Let's say we go into our company, so again they will be able to go, so we have a settings here that allows me to delete. If I don't have permission to do that, I don't see that. So instead they'll have a process they run that's called delete or request delete. Once they run that process, let's go into let's go into our templates and let's add a template. So we're going to add this template not when added or changed, but the process is going to be run manually when the user clicks that. Let's call it delete and save that, and we want an approval, I guess, first of all. So we're gonna bring this in. We can bring in something like a notification. Let's say that the approval has been, the delete has been rejected. We can send a notification back to say that it's been rejected. If it's approved, we can use this delete element action block. Again, we're going to probably send a notification back as well. So in this case, you've got an additional stage where it's been approved. I guess we could actually take this approval out if you don't need that stage, and we could just use the delete element. In that case, this would be in here. We wouldn't need this. We wouldn't need this part. In this case, you might, if you're restricting people from deleting things, you might want to still have some control over what they do. Yeah, that would allow you to delete it. If we click into here, in fact, there's no settings inside there. This will just delete as the process is run on the company record. It will actually delete the record that you're running this process on. So yeah, that's it really. I think, as I say, if you wanted to do it in its simplest form, we could take that out, and that would be how you would do that.
I've got a question. It is important to start a task in order to receive notifications. If I create a task and forget to start it, will I receive notifications? Well, probably what I would always recommend if you're going to create a task is actually, if you create a task here, and let's say we're going to start it on, I don't know, tomorrow, the 1st of June at 9 AM, what we can actually do is we can actually set a task reminder. So we can here remind about the task. We add a reminder for responsible person. You can change this if you wish. to yourself or to the creator if you've specified a different creator. So in this case, we'll have the responsible person, and then what we can do is we'll set it for tomorrow, maybe an hour before, so we can say, don't forget to start that task. And we can say you can receive a system notification, so you'll receive a notification here, or alternatively you can be emailed the reminder. So I would probably, when you're creating tasks, if they are important, to always set a reminder, so it will always send you or the responsible person a reminder to start that particular task.
Okay. Same person asked a question about you need to know the limits on emails for standard plan. I think to do that, go to Bitrix. I don't know actually. Let's have a look. Go to your. Should be inside. There should be some information inside here about the limits you have. Let's have a look inside here. No. Okay. If you want to contact us afterwards, maybe we can find that. I'm sure there should be some information on the Bitrix website about just what the planning includes.
I think there will be, like Damien said, I think the best thing to do is get in touch or take a look on the plan on Bitrix website.
Okay.
What does show always do? I think you mean available. I've not seen a show always. I've seen available to everybody, and I think that just basically means that
it's no, there is a show always. Let me just go into a record. So if we go into a contact record and we change, we've got the option to. So this field's not populated when we save it. This field is what is their annual spend. We save that, the field doesn't show. If we want that field to show always, we click show always, and the description of the field shows and just shows that the field's empty. It's actually quite useful to know if that field's been populated or not. Can be a bit so you've got the option, and of course you've got the option then to add content to the field without actually quicker than clicking in the change, probably quicker than clicking in the change. So
yeah, because that's relatively new, isn't it? Because Bitrix used to mean that you had to click on change to edit it, and now you can just double click on the thing and edit it like that. So
because it's important to knowing what the content of a field. Sometimes you need to know whether the field's not being completed. If you can't see it, then it can be a bit confusing. I think so. Very useful to have that. Of course, you can move all these around. This is fully customizable. I can move these up and down like this. If I'm an admin, then I've got the option to save preferences for all users, so they're now going to see this particular new layout that I've created for this user. So I might want to put their photo at the top like this. Okay. Can I book events against a contact in the CRM? So wrong contacts. Book events, yeah, absolutely. So you can book a call or a meeting against this contact in the CRM. Let's say, so what we're going to do is book a meeting with this person. Let's say I want to cannot invite extra people. No, okay. So I can only book this event on this page to this particular person. Oh, here we go. So the event is with the contact, but I can actually invite additional people from my team, or change the. In fact, this is a responsible person, so I can change who's going to be responsible for my team. You can associate it with a deal up there.
I think maybe if you were to do that, I think you would have to go into the calendar. And if you were to add an event via the calendar, click here, then what you can do is there is a link to CRM items. So if we're going to book a meeting in with Emma, click on select, that will add the meeting to Emma's activity stream, but then we could also invite more people in here, as David was just showing on there. And the good thing about this calendar is you can see the availability for all of your employees and users on the system.
So we get a warning when they're not available, and we've got an option to go to the next time slot, automatically find a free time slot.
And this is quite a handy tool as well, so we can see to make sure when all the users are going to get the system is going to notify you whether all the users confirm or decline the invitation.
Okay, we've had a question here about customizing quote PDFs. So up until recently, you could use Doc Designer to customize PDFs. You still can use Doc Designer. I think it's a third-party app. I think there's some limitations on that app. Here's Doc Designer. Okay, it's not installed on this site. Install now. Bitrix are launching a full revamp of the way PDFs are designed, and so you can. Okay, so we probably wouldn't. Okay, there we go. It's loading. Okay, so you've got Doc Designer, but you've got coming soon a full PDF Designer feature built, a Bitrix product built into the tool. So, of course, when you go into the CRM, if you generate quotes, over here from the CRM, you want to be able to generate PDFs. And we can indeed download a PDF, but there's some limitation on how you can the design you can force into that. If you're using a self-hosted, you can do anything with this. You can fully design it yourself. You can actually pull a lot of information into this PDF, not from just the quote, but from associated fields in the CRM. If you want to populate some terms and conditions and things like that, the quote, and you want to use some information from other fields in the quote, you can pull all that information into the PDF document with a self-hosted version. With the launch of the new document designer, then you'll be able to do that as well. So that's coming soon in Bitrix, I think around about 4 weeks.
I've got a question just about attaching images to my email campaign when the recipients receive the email, images are not supported. So I mean that's quite difficult to diagnose on here. I mean it all depends really what the issue is. Some email providers don't show the images to start off with in any email, so they would have to click on display images and then the images would appear in the marketing email. It may be that the place where they're hosted isn't accessible from the user. It could be a whole range of issues. Maybe just get in touch with us after, and or maybe get in touch with Bitrix to.
Yeah, I think like Andy says, I don't think has it been tested with different email clients? Is it one particular email client that you're having a problem with, or is it all? Of course, if it's all, then there seems to be a problem, on Bitrix side. But yeah, you're working with third-party applications there, so they interpret it in different ways. I know that when we send an email out, if it's Gmail that the recipient's using or Outlook or something else, it looks very different in all those different tools. So that's how those tools work, and so it could be to do with file format, couldn't it? If some file formats are commonly accepted, some are not accepted at all by many platforms, so you need to be using commonly accepted file formats would be ideal. Images, attachments in emails are always an issue, potentially an issue with sort of spam scores as well. So try and use a link to an image instead of an attachment. So we could build into Bitrix a process that allows you to send that email with a link and automatically post the image to a URL or something, if you want to do that, or even send a link. If you're using Bitrix, Drive, let's go into Drive, and let's go into one of these documents. If you're using Bitrix Drive, then you can get a public link to a document or an image. So, you know, as part of a process, if this is the document you want to share on your email, instead of sharing the document, share a link to it, and that's going to be much more successful at passing through any, you know, successfully be delivered to any email client. Can set a time limit on that, so it can expire after hours or days, after 3 days, and you can, you know, enter a password as well. Require them to enter a password in order to access that document. So I do it like that. Sending images on email is not always that great.
Okay, so I think we're coming to an end now. If you've got, like I mentioned at the beginning, if you do have any questions in the week, please make sure that you drop us an email. So that's live at intraface.com, or you can tweet us live at intraface, or like I say, we're here every week at 10 a.m. Eastern time to answer any questions. So we're here every week at 10 a.m. So our details: we've got an office, as Damien mentioned at the start, in the US, in the UK, and in Dubai. So we can handle any of your requests, whether it's a personalised demo to see any special aspect of Bitrix. If you've got Bitrix already and you want a process designing, or if you would like any customizations within your Bitrix, then we can obviously scope them out and help with that. Those are all our contact details, each telephone number and each email address.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.